I'm going to start with you since I've worked with you in the past, and I think that your company offers a great service. So if you wanted to start, let us know what your company does and how we can work together.
Sure. So we're a licensed general contractor. It's LP Design and Renovation. What makes us a little bit unique and stand apart is that we also have a division where we flip homes. So we are investors. We are investors and we do construction. Our company was actually started because they were flipping homes and had trouble finding a good quality GC. Either the prices were crazy or the work wasn't getting done or something was happening. So they branched out about 5 years ago and started their own GC firm to accommodate the flips. So again, we know what investors are looking for. You know, we know what bare minimum that they need to do, or matching comps, or, you know, whatever the case may be when it comes to investors. We also work with a lot of property managers, and we know what those owners are looking for, you know, to best, you know, meet the needs of the clients. Another thing, we partner with Zillow and Open Door and OfferPad. So those are massive national flip companies that they trust us to do their renovations as well. So in terms of realtors, where we feel like we have a strong suit is that, you know, people working with sellers, we can do things like 4-point inspections, or do small things to increase the listing price, which helps all realtors out in the long term. As well as with buyers agents, you know, we can come in and say this, they want all of this new stuff done when they close on a house. We can say, well, this is what you're looking at in terms of cost for that. And, you know, that can kind of give them an idea of what to ask for with the contract. And, you know, so it's basically a service at first, you know, just to provide, you know, information from any avenue that they need to get. And then we can, excuse me, back it up with delivery of the actual renovations themselves, the plumbing, the HVAC, and the electrical. Those things we will cover. You guys still list the property. That has nothing to do with us, but we'll go in and make those updates so that you guys can make that adjustment with the listing price in order to benefit your seller. We will pay the cost up front, and we are then paid upon closing on the HUD. So that would allow your sellers not have to come out of pocket for those items, increase the listing price based on those core items, and then we would get paid back at closing through the HUD.
And do you guys take out a lien on the property, or how do you
we do take out a lien on the property until closing, and then that of course is wiped away with the title company at closing once our dollar amount is paid on the HUD.
Because anyone that I've told this to, like, it's unheard of. Like, they're like, I don't have to pay for this up front, you know, and they were already thinking about doing these renovations out of pocket.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it costs slightly more than it would be if you were to do it on your own. Again, I'm transparent with things. You know, it's the difference
that's
between,
true. You guys have,
you know, we have a fee built in there. So, you know, I just like to be transparent and say that, you know, it costs a little bit more, but it's something that they don't have to front. And if they can get their closing happen quicker, it puts money in your seller's pocket quicker. So it's more of a convenience thing, if you will. Like, I don't have to come out of pocket and then wait for my house to sell. It's, let me do things to make the list price higher, and then when it sells, you know, I get all of my money back and the renovations are paid for.
Yeah,
that's what it's designed for.
Gotcha.
Just a lot of variables involved that we analyze. And I'll give you a few examples of those. So one is going to be area, obviously. And then the number one thing that we look at is what we're buying it for and what the comps sold for. So that's a huge indicator of what we're going to do to a house. So for instance, we are interested in a house to buy, and it's X amount of money. Oh, I'm sorry, did I lose you?
Yeah.
Okay, there you
go. We're here, but your video.
Sorry, it was a call was coming in.
You're fine.
So for instance, we find this target that we're like, okay, this house is for sale. It's a disaster, but you know, we analyze what we're going to do. If we can wholesale it and not put any money into it, and say we paid, and I'm being completely hypothetical, say we paid $30,000 for it and we can get $90,000 for it with putting nothing in it. Okay, done deal. We're wholesaling it. you know, because that's enough money. You
Mhm.
know, if we
Yeah.
can flip that thing as is or do bare minimum, maybe even put 5,000 in it and put new flooring or something very minimal just to spruce it up, clean it, whatever, and move on with our life, we will do that. But then we have circumstances where we purchase in Windermere where we are really trying to push the value of what we're getting for our return. We will go in and put $45,000, $50,000 into it as long as we can still yield that $30,000 profit. So
Yeah.
it really depends on the acquisition, the property that you're purchasing, and then what you're going to do with it. And we have an analytics team that dives into each individual one. And they're all different. Some are classified as a flip, some are classified as wholesale, some, you know, we go through probate, some we can do minimum to get away with. Say we paid a little bit more for a house, we may not have to spend as much in rehab, so the cost balances out. You know,
Yeah.
we'll still yield the profit, but won't have to put as much, but we paid more up front to get a house that didn't need so much. You know, so it's really is. So I wish I had, like, you know, a blanket formula for you, but it's so property specific, because things that you can do in Volusia County you can't do in Seminole County. You
Yeah.
know, and street by street, there's Pine Hills, for instance. We have done very successful flips in half of Pine Hills, and the
Mhm.
other half of Pine Hills has been a complete disaster. You know, so it just depends, and that's narrowing it down to one area,
Mhm.
you know, neighborhood by neighborhood. And so it all depends on what you're going to acquire, and, you know, when, you know, what you can do with that, you know, how much
Yeah.
money do you have and how much profit do you want to yield from it.
Awesome.
What happens if we have somebody selling a house and they initially just wanted to do the HVAC, the ceiling, but then you guys went in there and you suggest, oh no, this needs to be a whole flip. What happens in that situation? Are we still the listing agent, or would you buy their?
We will never suggest that. That is completely up to you on what you sell for your client. When we go in there and meet with your clients in terms of home inspections or evaluations of how much work needs to be done, that is all going to be to your discretion. They're your clients. We don't want to have any influence or say with your clients. You are our clients, in that sense. So with the Fix and Sell the full program, like I explained to you in first time, was what we pitched to Leardham's clients, which is our brokerage. But for your clients as realtors, you're the listing agents. We don't want any part of that. So all communication would be directly with the two of you. If you want, you know, an estimate of repairs, an estimate of recommendations of what to do to make that listing higher, you would be my client to give the recommendations to, for you to hand off to your client. It's merely used as a service, not for us to do that in a whole.
And what's the difference between when I get a client and they say, well, I just rather take out a home equity loan than um, than paying out of pocket. I mean, as far as this as a solution for them, what would I tell them? Like, hey, this would benefit you more than taking out a home equity loan. I know time, obviously, like less time for them to go through the process of that. But as far as like other incentives, um, what are they?
It's mainly, the Fix and Sell program is mainly just used as a resource for people who need it. But at the end of the day, we still are a full general contractor. So the incentive, I guess, for recommending LP to your clients in any capacity is that we're a licensed contractor who can do repairs for them. So even if they take out a home equity loan, it's basically just offering someone who is not going to rake them over the coals, give them quality work, and be below margin for industry standard. So they don't have to use the program. It's just available to you if you have a client who needs it. But at the end of the day, we're still a licensed contractor. For instance, Patty needed some pricing on a home inspection that came back, and I'm able to give her that pricing, you know, from a home inspector, for you to say, okay, you're buying this house, here's what you're looking at in repairs, which is in essence a negotiating tactic for you to go to that seller and say, you know, hey, this stuff's going to cost this much money. Can we get a reduction? Can we do this or that? You know, it kind of just depends on the situation. I'm merely here to be a resource for you, for whatever they need. The buyers need quotes, estimates. We do homeowner clients. If they need the service, if you two need the service or realtors need the service to maybe look at a property and say, you may want to recommend that they flip this house, you know, but that's going to be a conversation between us and you guys as the realtors, not with your clients. We don't want to deal with your clients. No offense. Those are your clients. We're here to be a resource for you. And it also in turns, you know, develops that relationship so that we can have mutual business. You know, at the end of the day, we're here to get clients and you guys are here to close houses. And, you know, the whole point is to work together to figure out what we can both do to make the sale of the house. Me on the construction side anyways.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really helpful resource that, you know, I've encountered. Like, Angeli, I don't know if you've gone through the inspection part, but just that having that resource to get those numbers, because it's always hard to evaluate after you get a home inspection. And it's always the question, and you can't go back to the inspector because they're like, you need to hire someone, you know?
Yeah.
So that's really good.
Yeah.
I think that's all I had, because I think you covered it in a nutshell and like what I liked about the program as well. Angeli, did you have any other questions?
No, this was really helpful. It sounds like a one-stop shop for everything. So I'm definitely going to be reaching out soon. I know I had a couple people with some roof issues that were postponing listing their house because of it.
Yeah, I see more and more of that is where people either want to renovate or they can't see the value in it. Like they can't, you know, get past the old house.
Yeah, I wish I knew about my house a while ago because I had so many things to renovate and I was trying to find all these different people specializing in one area when I could have just went to like one place.
Like I said, what's cool about our company, and it's a bragging thing for me, but it's like we stumbled upon doing it. We didn't go into the business of general contracting. We were in the business of land developing, brokerage, have realtors, and flipping houses. And along the way, all of these issues that they were having all led back to renovation costs, you know, how much trusting people, you know, them destroying things or walking out or just all these headaches and problems. And it was like, well, let's do it the right way and then offer that to other people to do it the right way, you know, because we know how to do it. You know, we know what they're going through. We know that they're budget conscious and we know that they're tight on money and that the margins are thin for them as investors. And as homeowners, they're literally dumping a large amount of their savings into purchasing a home, you know, and then to go hit them with 45 to 50 grand in renovations is very overwhelming.
Yeah.
You know, it's very overwhelming. So if you know that those type of situations come up, then it's ideal to preempt that by pumping people with knowledge, pump them with knowledge of how much things cost. Like, because you could want something super expensive and can't afford it. But at least if you know that, then you know where to make adjustments along the way, you know, and I think that that's a huge selling point. And what stands apart realtors is having, you know, that kind of knowledge in your back pocket and saying, look, I really care about you. I really want to make this work for you. And, you know, you want to place them with good people, you know, and place them in a good situation, you know, and I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever do walkthroughs? Like, let's say I know somebody and they want a fixer upper, but they want somebody to walk through and then at the end of each house say, okay, it's going to be around this much for the renovation. Okay.
Yep, we definitely can. We have several PMs that can go and scope a property and basically let them know a general bid. And, you know, we put a general on it because people, before they purchase something, tend to want other things. But then when they purchase it, you start nailing it down with materials. But yes, we can walk a property and give you a blanket general kind of idea of what you're looking for or give recommendations. So we know recommendations if you're going to rent it. We know recommendations if you're going to buy it. We know recommendations if you're going to live in it or if you're going to flip it. So You know, it's like we'll give recommendations if that's what they want, or maybe they just have an idea of what they want, and then we can give them a generalized bid for that. We do have a full-blown contract that we do give our construction clients. It gives them a draw schedule if they're paying directly. We can do 3 draws or 2 draws, one at the beginning and one at the end, or 3, which there's a middle one there if that accommodates them better. But there's a full-blown construction contract that basically states we commit to a start and an end date, and there's penalties for not meeting that end date in terms of reduction of payment. We hold a very high standard of quality. We do quality control with the client. We do a first day walk with the client to make sure that the scope and budget is exactly what they're anticipating and expecting. Any type of change orders have to be done via DocuSign, and everything has to be in writing and is done by the book. And all the expectations are laid out and the communication is there. So if there's any hiccups or any situations along the line, we have to get approval from our clients to do that. So there won't be any extension of time frame without them further being aware of it and agreeing to it.
Okay.
Because as you know, with construction,
Things happen.
You know, I mean, you open up a wall and discover there's termite damage. You go to write a permit, and we're in the middle of COVID, and what used to take 5 days takes 14 days now to deal with. You know, things happen. You know, it just happens. But we get pre-approval with the client, and they're just as much in agreement with that. And we thoroughly explain what it is, and then we readjust the client's agreement because we hold ourselves to the expectations of the client.
Okay. And do you write up a contract with them, or do we enter that somewhere?
Nope. We do. Everything is with the client because they're going to be the potential homeowner or the potential person paying us at the end of the day. But the contract is a construction contract stating that we're going to put a lien on the property until that it's paid in full. They can list the home as long as they need to list it. We don't charge interest. So it doesn't really matter for us right now if we do 3 months or, 10 months. But we will be in discussion with you as realtors if it's taking an extended amount of time. Like, are we doing something with the price here? Like, what do you think?
Yeah.
Because but we have faith in the fact that you guys want it closed just as much as we do. So it's kind of a vested interest.
Yeah.
We have confidence in that because you don't get paid, we don't get paid, seller doesn't get paid. So unless people are in moving targets, we all want to get paid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, I think that's all I have for today, but I appreciate you hopping on here and letting us know about.
Thank you for inviting me. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah,
and Patty, I know you.
Yeah, I was like, you know me. But anyway, if you can email me over, I know you gave me a couple of marketing materials, but something
I have a few new brochures on the Fix and Sell Express, which we're willing to do that because that's something that can definitely increase value immediately without customization, like without someone saying, oh, let me paint, let me do flooring, let me guess what someone wants to buy. Yeah. And frankly, it doesn't work. It's a waste of money. People 90% of the time go in there and paint it another color, and then you just wasted $2,200 thinking that you're upgrading it the way someone wants to buy it, and that's BS. At the end of the day, people want the bones to be good, the big ticket items to be on point, and the rest of it they can deal with or live with or settle with or something. So, that's why it was important for us to reach out and be a resource like that and create the express version, which is pretty cut and dry. We're not dealing with, opinions, if you will, of how something should look. We're just going to take it back to the bones are good. You can increase the list price, and we'll still get a return on our money.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Good.
Well, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and we will definitely be in touch.
All right. Bye, guys.